This is Dillon with you, bringing you episode number 41 of the Tickle Me Comedy Podcast series. We are so glad you're with us. We are just excited that we've made it to 41. We thought for sure the censors would cancel us after one, but we're still here, having a great time. We love bringing you new entertainers and comics and all kinds of folks every week. We hope you're enjoying it. Send us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. If there's anything you'd like to see or anybody you'd like to have us interview, we're more than happy to do that. Somebody in Las Vegas area that you know or they're going to be here, you think we should interview them or spend some time with our podcast, let's do that. So I want to, again, thank our production crew. We got Nick and we got Sammy. We have Malaysia. We have our new guy, Jesse. And did I miss anybody? I think, no? Okay. And whoever else I missed, we really appreciate you guys. We also want to thank our sponsors, Blue Zone Comedy Tour and Tickle Me Comedy Club. And we want to especially thank Asian Cultural TV. They have been phenomenal with giving us a great studio to do this in and the support that they're giving us. And we hope that you guys just keep watching and tell all your friends. The more viewers we have, the funnier we get. So without any further ado, I've got two great guests tonight. Let me introduce them. I've got Cal Verducci.
You got it right on the first try.
I know. I thought for sure I was going to goof that up.
no one gets it right on the first try.
Even your mom, right? And Bruce Leonard. Cal is an impressionist, and
not all I do, but it's one of the things I do.
One of the things that he does. And Bruce, I've never worked with Bruce before, but we're going to find out what he does. Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here. Again, I have no co-host Isaac tonight. I'm going to send out the search parties if he's not here by the next podcast. But that's okay. We can move on without him. We don't really need
Is it Isaac or Phil? I don't know.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I want to thank you guys for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to have a great time. Our whole idea is that we want to learn about you guys, learn about your comedy, learn about what you do, that kind of stuff. So let me jump right into it. Let me start with Cal. So Cal, how'd you get into doing impressions or doing comedy?
Well, I mean, it all started when I was a teenager. I went to see Jamie Foxx, like at a club called the Comedy Connection in Boston, and I wasn't even supposed to be there. I wasn't old enough to even get into a comedy club. I was like you had to be 21 to get in, and I was like 18. But for some reason, they let me in, and I kept going there because I was like, wow, the comedy's cool. I got to come back and see this. I remember they gave you free passes. Go back. But then when I started going to comedy shows, I was like, you know what? Some of these guys aren't that funny. I could do this better than they could, because I was always like the class clown anyway.
Yep.
And then I started going to open mics when I was 19. In college, my first one, it was an all-black comedy club I went to.
Oh boy.
And I just went up there. I forgot everything I was going to say and just made fun of being the only white guy, and they laughed. And when I got back home from college, I went back to Massachusetts. I started going to another Comedy Connection because it was a chain in Providence, Rhode Island, and I got hooked, and I couldn't stop doing it. Like I was like, oh my God, it was such a high you would get from it.
It does get into your blood.
Yeah, but it's funny, and I remember like the first couple times I did great, and then like all of a sudden, and as a matter of fact, it was Butch Bradley. You know Butch Bradley, right? He's big in Vegas, actually.
You know, Verducci does the LA Comedy Club.
Yeah, yeah. Butch Bradley was actually on my second open mic, and I remember he was like, "Hey, I got this room somewhere in Rhode Island, and you should come do it." And it was just some bar, like shitty bar. Bar gig. And I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then I just went to that. And it was terrible. and it was like, and that was the first comedy reality check where you're like, okay, just because you had 2 good sets doesn't mean you're amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So how about you, Bruce? Let's so how did you get into comedy? How long have you been doing it?
I started doing stand-up in the early 2000s, but I was like 30 years old. Before that, I was in a bunch of rock bands.
Rock bands?
Yeah.
What do you
When I
play?
was in my 20s. I was frontman in a bunch of rock bands.
Really?
This
Yeah.
makes sense, by the way. Every comedian wants to be a rock star. That's
Right.
the thing.
Or was
Right.
a rock star,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it
Was.
was like, in my case, it was like I was already doing that. But it was like, when I turned 30, I was like, I'm getting too old to be up here yelling and screaming.
Oh, no,
in
you
these
aren't.
loud
Have you
bands.
seen some of the bands?
Yes, and they look
God.
ridiculous.
My
Have
wife
you
and I
seen the
went-
Rolling Stones? Like,
Oh,
I love
my
them,
God.
but come on.
Steven Tyler? That's not
Wait a minute, we went to a Three Dog Night concert, and they had to take a break at
Well, it
halftime
depends
and
what
drink-
kind of
They were
band
drinking Geritol, and then they walked out with their walkers. And,
Right.
you know,
I was in a lot of loud, aggressive rock bands. So it's like, you can't keep doing that. So I was just like, I don't think this is going to work out for me. But I want to keep performing and doing something. So I thought about getting into acting, you know, all the things. Like, well, what's out there that you could do? And it was like, comedy. I'd go try comedy because you only had to bring 5 people to the bringer show and you could get on stage. So I signed up and went and did it. And yeah, people laughed and that was the end of it. I was like, I should have been doing this the whole time.
Forget the front for the band, they should have been doing
I mean, it was fun playing in bands. I love playing music, but it's
Yeah.
So basically,
It's not the
you were
same.
like, I'm tired of all this doing the rock star thing and women throwing themselves at me. I'd much rather be a comic where women completely ignore me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as an artist, it's more challenging and it's more fulfilling because as a writer, you're writing all these lyrics of these songs, and then when you're doing them, you're like, do people even care what I'm saying? You know, do
I could see.
they
I
even
can
hear
see
these
that.
words?
Yeah.
And I'm trying,
Yeah.
you know, I'm trying to make a
Yeah.
point here, and nobody cares. You know, and when you do comedy, everybody's listening to what you say, so
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
now you have their attention.
And you're there, you're the center of attention.
Yes,
And it's up to you to keep them going and keep them laughing and keep them entertained.
yes, and you
I
can
can
say
see
what you think
Yeah, exactly.
and get away with it.
And when you're up there, when you're up there performing, playing music, it's not quite the same, right? You gotta do it's very structured. You-
It's a different kind of
Yeah.
feeling. I'm not saying it's not cool, because it is. It's just a different kind of energy release.
Well, there's definitely not the humility that you get. You don't really bomb
Right.
as a rock.
If you play in a band and the people didn't like your band, I always say this, you still got like 3 or 4 other guys to drive home with.
Yeah,
And
right.
go, well, hey, it doesn't matter, we're good, right?
Yeah,
You know, like, it's gonna be okay. When you bomb as a comedian, you're just
You're
by
right.
yourself.
Oh man, those long drives home
I know, right?
alone. Oh man.
You're just sitting there like, wow.
My
Yeah.
first bomb,
That was
let's
terrible.
talk about our first one, we'll go first. My first bomb, I had to ride home with my wife, and she,
Oh, that's
oh my
brutal.
God, that was, she
Yeah.
goes, pardon my language, what the hell were you thinking? But it's a very humbling experience the first time you bomb,
Oh,
right?
for
Oh,
sure.
And how about you, tell us about the first time
I didn't
you bombed.
really bomb until I was working.
Yeah,
And so I was getting paid. I was in Missouri.
oh, that's even worse if you're getting paid and you bomb.
Yeah, I was a feature.
I bombed the Missouri.
And I was getting paid. Missouri sucks.
Missouri really sucks.
Yeah.
Well,
I
not if you-
remember-
Wait, not for our audiences in Missouri, it's a
But I
great
tried to,
state.
right. I tried to be cute. I learned a lesson.
Yeah,
I tried to be cute and say something off the cuff.
no.
Like right in the beginning. And pissed off the audience.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they hated my guts.
There's rules,
They
right?
weren't gonna say anything.
Nope.
You know, because the headliner told me after, he was like, you're funny. He's like, you got good jokes. He's like, they just decided that they hated your guts. They weren't gonna listen
Oh
to
yeah,
anything you
no,
said."
there's something about
That's good.
when you go to places like Missouri or places in the South, and you're from like a different place than they don't like outsiders. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
there is
not
that
always, but
element,
like I
kind of.
remember performing in the South, and at the time I was living in New Jersey. I was not from New Jersey, but for some reason the MC heard that and he's like, "This guy comes all the way to us from New Jersey," and I literally heard the entire crowd go boo.
Right.
And I'm like,
Yankee!
that's it. They're
Go
like,
home.
"The damn Yankees." Yeah, I was like, really? You're not over that yet?
You ain't from around here.
Well,
are
I'm
you?
from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I was actually born in Kentucky. So, I was raised in the Midwest, so I'm familiar, you know, and then Kentucky's almost the South.
Yeah.
It's the closest South you
That
can
is
get.
the South. to me. That's the South.
It's on the cusp.
It's
So,
like there- yeah.
you had to learn to relate to those audiences, you know, like, or else you wouldn't make it.
I have over the years, but I remember when I first started going to places like the South, and I'm from Massachusetts, well, Rhode Island originally, And I talked too fast when I first started.
Right.
You know, because people from, Northeast, we talk faster. And I would try to perform for those Southern audiences, man, they were just like, you talk too fast. You know,
What do you say?
they were getting, I had to slow down my act. I actually learned that one time. I went, my one gig out of the country, I did a gig in South Africa. Like
Really?
for 2 weeks I did in
Really?
South Africa.
Oh,
And I remember the first week was really tough. The first week was really hard. And just the manager just came up to me and said, listen man, you're really funny, but the problem is you talk too fast for these people. You really gotta slow it down. Think about if you were listening to someone South African speaking English and they were, talking that fast, it would be the same way. I'm like, oh, I guess I never thought of it. And I slowed it down just a little bit, and then the second week was just awesome. It's funny how just something like that can
That's
completely
interesting.
change it. Yeah.
Let me explore that a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're a foreigner in
Mm-hmm.
South Africa. Did they get the humor?
They got the humor, most of it. There was a few things that, I was shocked. I since I do impressions, I remember I do some Family Guy impressions, and I did those, and they did not have Family Guy there. I was really surprised to find that out. But for the most part, yeah, they had all the same stuff. Yeah,
Really?
it's just you just had to just
Because of
slow
the
it down.
accent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like I have a hard time when British people come and do comedy. It's hard. I don't know what they do, but it's hard to catch their humor. I mean, they're funny people.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean. It really all depends on what they're
Yeah.
talking about. But
I
yeah.
don't know. But, so, where are you from?
Originally, I was born in Rhode Island and grew up in Massachusetts, and that's kind of where I started. Rhode Island and Massachusetts.
So how'd you wind up here?
Well, I've lived everywhere with comedy. I did the LA thing for a while, got my heart broken, and then I decided, I'm just gonna move back to, I'm gonna move to Florida and live with my parents for a while and save up. That's what I did. And then I was like, I hated Florida so much. Not even
lived there for
I
10
actually
years.
met I made a lot of great friends there, but I didn't like the audiences there at all. They were really just old rich white people, which to me are just the worst audiences ever. Old rich people suck.
Except for our viewers.
Oh God, I'm probably alienating everyone right now. But those are really hard audiences.
I'm sure.
Old rich people are tough audiences.
Yeah.
And that was when you get a lot of that in South Florida, and I just never really enjoyed myself. And like I said, I was living with my parents, so and I just after a while I saved up enough money, and I was like, and I did the LA thing in the past. I've done the New York thing, and neither one of them I was very happy. And I was like, yeah, Vegas is cheap. It's cheap to live here. There's enough comedy. The airport is really cheap to fly out of. You can make good money here. And I got here, and I was doing, Uber, and I was making really good money for the first month, because I literally got here in February.
Oh, no.
And then all of a sudden, March 14th, everything is closed down. Pandemic. Is this real? I really couldn't believe it. I remember when all this pandemic stuff first happened, I was in total denial about it. I was like, oh, this will go away in a week. These people are overreacting.
I think most people were like that.
Yeah, and then a month later, I'm like, why aren't you wearing a mask? It's funny how you change
good.
so much.
So Bruce, where are you from originally?
I am from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Wow. And then how'd you get to Vegas?
It's a long, convoluted story.
I hitchhiked.
No, well, what happened was, like I said, I started doing comedy in the early 2000s, and I built myself a career, and I was working as a comic. And then, at the end of that, I met, I had met before, but I opened for Mitch Hedberg at this club.
For who?
Mitch
Oh,
Hedberg.
nice.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, do you want to go on tour with me? 'Cause I had met him the year before, and he came back the second time. He offered me to go on tour and be his opener. So I started being his opener. And for a young, a young comic, and you're like, I'm right where I want to be right now. Everything is working. It's like a dream come true. Then he passed away.
Oh, man, yeah, man.
So I didn't do comedy, I stopped, that's why I said, I stopped doing comedy. I had other shows booked, that I had booked on my own after that happened, and I did them, and it was not fun. It's like, this isn't fun, like, it became real life all of a sudden. Like, this isn't fun, I need to take a break. So I stopped booking comedy, I didn't do any, and that's all I had been doing for a living. I went back to music, and I started mixing bands and rock clubs and stuff. Before I knew it, 3 years went by. And I was like, wow, I hadn't done comedy in 3 years. I started getting itchy. And then so I went back and started doing comedy again, but I reinvented myself. I just went back like I had never done it. I started going to open mics again. I threw all my stuff out. I wrote all new stuff. Yeah, and I worked that for a couple of years until I wrote another. I had like, a half hour, really good half hour. But it could be 40 minutes, 45 if I wanted to stretch. So then I started doing shows, testing. Okay, do I have enough? Yes. Then I was like, I can't stay here. Lightning doesn't strike twice. And no one's gonna come to Ohio and find me again. So I gotta get out of there. And I was like, what?
That happened in Ohio?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Everything happened, in Ohio. I didn't have to leave. Everything came to me. I was lucky.
Not too many.
But I was like, this isn't gonna happen again. Like, there's no way, odds of that. So, and Hamburg was always telling me, you gotta go to Hollywood, whatever. So, I looked around and was like, my friend lives in LA. He was like, don't come here, it's so expensive to live,
Not just expensive, here's what they say about LA, and it's true. If you want to be an actor, you go to LA, not a comic. I mean, if you are a comic that wants to be an actor, maybe, but I don't know. Some comics do really well there, but it's so hard. It's not like.
Well,
New York is more of a comedy city, but New York is also very closed off to certain kinds of comedy, and that would be mine.
Vegas is still in that gap.
Well, no, that's why I was like, Vegas is close enough to Los Angeles, you can get there if you want. It's 4 hours drive in your car.
It was before the pandemic.
And it's way cheaper to live here than it is to live in.
I couldn't even believe how cheap it was.
So I came here.
Cheap to fly out too, right?
Well, that's another thing, if you're gonna travel and do shows,
Yeah.
it's cheap to fly back and forth.
That's why I've been here since 2005. And we were looking for a place to move to leave California. We wanted a place that had an airport locally, that was inexpensive, and we never went down to those places. I think we would go to Phoenix or Albuquerque or Vegas. And I thought Vegas is probably the best. And it turns out to be Vegas is really a cool place.
It was also enough comedy. Like I was getting on stage every single night. Every night since I've lived here, until the pandemic started. I was on stage somewhere. Even if it was just open mic, like, you can't do that now. You gotta wait a week or two, there's 2 mics a week, and then you gotta wait. Like, if you can get up every night, you can get exponentially better,
See, I've only been into comedy about 6 years. And I didn't get it to be like full-time, pushing it, doing those 1 or 2 people audiences in the middle of the night. I just kind of do it because it's fun. And I haven't had any fun until the pandemic hit. I really haven't had any problem getting stage time. It's been really, it's pretty easy actually here in Vegas. So I'm glad I might not in LA or somewhere like that. But yeah.
That's what I mean, like in LA, there's mics, sometimes you go there, you gotta put your name in the bucket. You gotta sit there for 2 hours waiting to see if you get drawn out.
But it's not good stage time.
But a lot of comics that we interviewed, they all have said, oh, you gotta go to LA, or, no, you don't have to go to LA.
It all depends on what you want to do. If you want a film career, yeah, but I don't know. I feel they always say if you want to be a comic, go to New York. If you want to be an actor, go to LA. But at the same time, New York is also now completely changed, where it's all bringer shows, and it's not the way it used to be.
Well, see, Vegas is gonna fill in that void, isn't it?
I mean, there's more comedy clubs
here.
Yeah, I think so too.
Like the city feels like the scene.
That's what came before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. I know, but I'm just saying, you see now, probably should work some people moving over here, there's people moving, leaving LA and coming here.
And I think that when the pandemic ends, that there will be a big bounce back. Because people are gonna be so bored after sitting inside all this time, you know, people are gonna be, oh my God, I gotta get back to life, this is amazing, everything's open again. And I think that once that happens, there will be a big surge.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. There's gonna be a big surge in food delivery at home. I think
That's what I do.
I know. So I think what's happened is people have experienced that we need to go out all the time and get everything brought home. So
Yeah.
there's gonna be a lot more takeout service, there's gonna be a lot more at-home type stuff, because people have been forced to do it, and it's not so bad, because before that, I think people feared that kind of stuff, and now, I lived it, it's pretty cool, I could do that.
Yeah, no, when I first started, I was doing Uber, and I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do now? There's no Uber, there is, but like, you take a risk of like, you know, getting coronavirus. Plus, there's not many people who are gonna need it at this point. And I was like, oh, I'll just switch to Uber Eats. And that's what I did, and it's been pretty busy and not as, you know, it doesn't pay as good, but it's definitely got me through.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it gets the job done. Yeah. It's funny, I actually would do that, instead of regular Uber if it paid more. I would do that instead, because you don't have to deal with people.
Exactly. And you could kind of snap back our stuff as we drive up to their house, right?
It's funny, so, it's in every bag is sealed, like you can't, like, but because the coronavirus, everything has changed. The only thing that's good about that is if, like, anybody's food is missing, they can't blame me. You can never blame me because it's like sealed. Yeah, exactly, yeah. The only thing you can blame me if like drink is missing, you can blame me for that.
Yeah, and there's a strawberry in the face.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's like, because I remember one lady I delivered food, she's like, this is in here, why is this? I'm like, lady, I picked up a sealed bag I'm not supposed to open, I'm not supposed to look at, like, it has nothing to do with me. And she looked at me like, it's all my fault, like, you are just.
I'm just a messenger.
Yeah.
Bruce, I want to Bruce, I want to go back to something you said. I'm kind of stunned. So you said when you reinvented yourself as a comic, you threw away all your old stuff.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I have a DVD that I made from that time, and I threw it all away.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I respect that. I could not do that.
I wrote all new stuff.
There's a
lot of it was one because I agree with that philosophy. Like as a comedian, like you see what George Carlin did. He made an hour every year, and he'd throw it away. He'd write it. Yeah, because he did 17 HBO hours in a row every year.
I don't know that.
Yeah, he's got like 17 specials, HBO specials, and he'd do one every year. So he'd do an hour, he'd throw it away. He'd write another hour, put that down.
I think it was like maybe every other year, but yeah.
Either way, the volume of material he generated went far bigger than most. And that inspires me. It's like, plus if you do the road a lot, you see a lot of guys that are still doing their acting, they're just going through the motions, you know. They've lost interest in what they're doing. Yeah, like they've been doing the same act for 15 years. Well,
there are certain companies like people too. There are certain like bookers, they're friends with those guys.
Yeah.
So they're gonna book them no matter how, no matter how stale their act has gotten, they're still gonna get booked because they're buddies. They've always booked them. And unfortunately, that's the way the comedy business is.
Right. There's artists who watch that and going, I don't want to be that. I don't want to turn into that. So I try to always keep it moving. So now the goal is now to do that again. You know, I have 45 minutes or an hour. I'm going to document that somehow. You know, about a big album or make a DVD or whatever. And then I'll throw that away.
No, I respect that. I can't do that. I mean, I throw new material just to get rid of everything.
Throw it all out. I mean, in this case, I threw it all out. the next time it'll be a gradual transition.
Yeah,
You know, where, because I'll be work. At the time, I wasn't doing comedy.
Gotcha.
So when I came back, it was like, well, what I do, come back and just do my DVD. You know, like,
Well, I mean, you know how, like, if you get back into it, you just throw out one of your old jokes just as a
I have. I won't sit here and say I haven't done that.
Of course, yeah.
You know,
I mean,
it's
that's-
like, oh, well, I gotta kill a
Yeah,
couple more minutes. I got these things in the bag.
Yeah.
If I want to. But for all general purposes, I do it.
Yeah.
Plus, some of us dated, you know, you can't be talking about George Bush, you know.
Yeah, no, it's funny when I went back to all the
Hurricane Katrina, or things that happened at that time, you know, that he wrote some stuff about. You can't bring that up.
Yeah, there's so many things that I've gotten rid of over the years because, yeah, it just doesn't.
It's dated.
Yeah, it's dated.
I
remember back in with the impressions, I remember used to do like the crocodile hunters, like, yeah, I can't do that anymore. Yeah.
Well, he mentioned George Bush. You have a little George Bush in there?
George, I did that way back.
But you know what I'm saying? You can't be throwing dated. I mean, you could do it.
JJ.
You could do it, but then people like, oh, he's
The
still
thing I remember is the laugh.
That's what those guys do, I was talking about.
Yeah.
You be working with them and you're like, man, he's been telling that joke for 10 years.
Oh, dude, there was a comic that was still doing like Monica Lewinsky jokes, like.
Yeah, see,
remember.
they get lazy.
Yeah,
It's
I remember working the guy a few years ago and he was hosting, he was still doing it. I'm like, oh my God, why?
Because it's safer to do that than to take the risk.
And the audience was
So try something new.
So it's like, why don't you
It's
just
risky. Try something new.
It's like, you gotta listen to the audience. If you don't hear the audience laughing, that means it's time to get rid of it a bit. I mean, I can see if you're
That's
doing,
why my mic's still.
yeah, and if you're doing other stuff that still kills, that's a different story. Because
Some stuff's not time.
yeah, there's certain stuff that's timeless, depending on what it is, that no matter what it is, people are still gonna laugh at it. But yeah, these people that are still doing like jokes about old presidents, like, dude, what are you thinking?
Remember Bill Clinton?
Yeah, that's remember.
Right, exactly.
Remember what happened. Yeah, exactly.
I had a bunch of jokes about, remember those, all those marijuana commercials they used to have on TV? Marijuana sports terrorism, you know, marijuana. If you smoke, there's two kids sitting at a desk, there was a commercial, real commercial, two kids sitting at a desk smoking marijuana, and one kid's like, your sister's really hot. And the other kid's like, that ain't cool. And he opens the desk door and there's like a gun in there, and he pulls it out and shoots the other kid, and they're like, smoking pot leads to bad judgment. You know, and you're like, what? But like these commercials were on TV then, so you could make fun of them and have a joke. But if you bring it up now, people are staring at you like, what are you talking about? You know, like, that kind of material. It's true. And if you think about that, look at what the world has become now. For my entire life, they ran stuff like that, trying to convince you that the world would disintegrate, fall apart as you know it, if everybody was allowed to smoke marijuana. And now marijuana is legal everywhere you go. Is society falling apart? Nope. Here we are. Maybe they were lying.
Well, 88% of people did vote for a certain person.
I'm just saying, it's possible they were lying to you, what I'm saying. You know, like, it's everything that they tell you is not necessarily true.
Because I don't know who watches.
It's not even about politics, it's about, I mean, that's about, you know, more about religion,
Yeah.
fear, change, you know.
So,
And how deep that was programmed into people, and how dangerous it is.
what was that very first, what was that first movie? It came out?
And it works.
It was called
Reefer Madness.
Reefer Madness.
Yes.
That's right?
Yeah.
That was a terror.
Right?
That was good.
And he's
If you
driving
knew
the car,
people-
and he runs over the woman, he's just cackling, and you're like, I've never seen anyone act like this.
You haven't been on the 15 here in Vegas at rush hour, no.
You know what I mean.
I know
It's
exactly.
like the guy's on meth or something.
Well, that's okay, if you're in Oregon.
Back then, you could order it out of the
Yeah,
Sears
forgot
catalog.
about
That was kind of weird, they legalized all that stuff in Oregon, oh my God.
Yes.
So random.
Hey, man, it's time to try, don't you think?
I know, it's gonna be-
What we've been doing hasn't worked, has
I
it?
know, right? It's trying something new, I guess.
It's worked in Europe,
Yeah, Amsterdam.
legalized drugs.
Yeah.
Like, so why not? If it works there, the other people will see it and go, hey, well,
Now,
maybe it'll work.
is marijuana, it's still not legal in certain states though, right?
No,
No, it should be legal.
but almost,
And I don't even
there's a
smoke it,
lot of
and
them.
I don't care. It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that are getting medical now, and that's always the
That's
first.
pretty much legal.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's always the first step.
I mean, and let's face it, when it gets to that point, you can pretty much get a
And once
prescription
they
from
start,
any- for anything.
when they started seeing the numbers of all the money they were making
Yeah.
off of it, then the other states were like, hey, wait a minute,
Well, when
let me
they,
get in on that.
I'm gonna open a chain of Munchie food stores when they legalize it nationally.
Right,
Yeah, right? Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, yeah. Jack's,
right next door to all the dispensaries.
I'm interested to see what happens in Oregon.
I know.
I mean, I really am.
Has that taken effect yet? I know they passed.
I don't know when
legislation.
exactly it takes into effect, but,
Well, I guess we'll know when we see all the cars backed up going into Oregon.
right.
Right.
And the Oregon Trail about to fire back up. Why are we going to Oregon, Daddy? Well, cocaine is legal, son.
That's right. What?
By the way, before when she asked you like, give me your loudest laugh. Where was that?
I told
Where
you.
was that before?
Told you.
Yeah, before you were just like,
It was spontaneous, you know.
yeah.
So let's talk about when the pandemic hit. Did you guys have shows set up? Did you have
Yeah.
For
Oh
sure.
yeah. I had to.
Everything I was doing.
And I didn't end up they all got canceled on me.
Yeah.
Like I remember, I had a one. I was headlining Bonkers. I think it was Rampart. They got that was the one, right? Yeah. And yeah, that got canceled on me. I had was it the Hilarious 7?
Yeah.
That show. I had that one.
Killers.
A couple more. And yeah, it was. And then that just shows to show you, I had just moved here and I was already starting to get going, and then, poof, gone.
How about you?
Everything was gone.
Same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I was just saying before we started was, I moved here a year and a half ago. I didn't know anything. Basically, I did the same thing here that I did at home. I came here. I didn't know anybody. I just started going out, and I built myself up. And then I said I've got the Rampart. I was doing Hilarious 7. I was doing all these.
Yeah.
And my trajectory was up, and then pandemic clamped it all.
And
down.
it seems like, I'm already experienced the comedy scene to be pretty friendly here.
I
where
had my
people,
own show every week at the Champagnes.
Is that different than other geographical locations?
Some places aren't as welcoming. I mean, I just noticed that as soon as I got here, I was already getting some stuff. And that
No,
doesn't
that's one
happen
thing
usually.
about Vegas is that it is different than other places. The comedy scene here isn't as cutthroat,
Yeah.
competitive. It's more like a family. Like all the comics here are cool.
Yeah, I've
friendly.
I've
I
heard
haven't
that.
met anyone yet.
I mean, I'm sure there's assholes around.
course,
that's
that's
everywhere. But I'm
Yeah.
saying, in general, the feel of the place.
In general, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it's because there's enough spots for everybody.
Is that-
There's enough work.
Yeah.
It's like in a small town, everyone's competing to work at that one club. And so the spots are very limited, so it's very competitive. And if you get success, people get resentful. Stuff, well, why don't I have that spot? And here there's enough spots for everybody. Everybody can get on stage, so nobody's fighting over every little thing.
I must
So
have
it
lived,
creates a more friendly atmosphere.
I must have lived a sheltered comedy life because I haven't experienced any of that.
Well,
cutthroat
if you
stuff. 'Cause I'm
started
not-
it here,
Well,
yeah,
but
yeah.
you understand what I'm saying. Like if you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, there's really only one comedy club.
Everybody's competing.
For a long time, there was
I
only
even
one
know-
club.
I even know
it was
the
called
club
Go
you're talking
Bananas.
about.
Right,
Yeah,
it
Go
was called Go
Bananas,
Bananas. But then a funny bum came,
yeah.
and even that caused a rift.
That,
You know,
that was
in the
Kentucky
town.
though, right?
Yeah, it was in
Yeah.
Newport.
Okay.
That's where I met Mitch Hedberg. That's where I opened for Dave Chappelle. I mean, I've done. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you work that club, though, then the other club would be mad at you.
Of course.
You know,
every
They go,
town,
oh, you're down there working at the funny bone.
every town had
And
that.
you're like, I'm just a comedian. I'm just trying to work.
Dude, Providence,
it's not
Rhode
personal.
Island, the smallest state in the country, had that because
Right.
there was the Comedy Connection in Providence, and then there was a place called Stitches that opened up like maybe 10 minutes away. And for some reason, at the time, I wasn't getting along with the manager at the Comedy Connection, so I decided I'll go to Stitches. And yeah, and I was like, and I remember this is a funny thing. Me and another comic came up with an idea where we wanted them to put us into the club as under different names, and we had like different names advertised. And
So they wouldn't
yeah,
see you.
yeah. Yeah, so I made up a fake name and had him put it on the website because I wasn't headlining at the time, so I didn't really care, you know. So
That was-
That's a fun.
and
that's funny.
but then they sent someone out to the club to find out who was there, and they caught me. And
No,
was
that's
like,
what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's just another example of things that happen. But my point being, there's less spots for the comics.
Yeah,
So,
so it's more competitive.
right. And
Which
then,
leads to
and
the
then,
cutthroat-
right, which
cutthroat
leads
thing.
to negativity.
That doesn't happen. I hope it never does.
Here it's very positive.
I know.
Everybody
I
seems
mean,
to
there's like
support
8
each other.
comedy clubs. What are you gonna do? Hey, you can't work the other.
Well, that's what I
7
mean. They
comedy
don't have
clubs?
those petty
Yeah.
problems.
And even the open mic.
Everybody
places,
understands you're trying to make money, you know.
Yeah, it would be ridiculous for that to happen here. It
Right.
would be insane.
So I was told when I started, go to open mics, be careful because the only reason other comics are there is to steal your stuff. And I have not experienced that. Everybody has been,
I've heard that
everybody's been very,
kind of stuff, but
yeah,
I've always said, you know,
But-
you can try.
yeah.
One good thing about when you do impressions, no one's stealing your stuff.
There you go, right?
I mean, I have, but that's not all I do. I do impressions. I do regular stand up. So there is some stuff they could, but fortunately, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had anything too.
If you have your own
But-
style and your own.
But here in Vegas, that doesn't seem to be the MO. For,
I heard that from
Yeah.
a couple of people when I said I was moving here. A couple of people told me that, like, be careful,
Yeah.
steal your stuff.
Yeah,
you know.
they were just.
But I got here, I don't
Just be
really.
careful in general in the comedy business.
I haven't. Well, you hear that all the time.
Yeah.
I've never really had that problem, like I said.
I mean, you never work with Carlos Mencia then.
Oh.
Well, no, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It does happen, and I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey, that guy.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw a guy do Bill Burr bit
really.
right on stage,
Oh,
like at a casino,
oh.
and I was like, did he really just?
Oh,
do
dude,
that?
I remember in Florida, there was a guy that was literally doing. It was comedians' greatest hits. It was.
There
like-
are hacks.
But
yeah,
it was
around-
all, and it was all a bunch of, it was all comics that had died, and the guy was like, some comic called him out on it, and like in the middle of his set, and he's like, it's okay, they're dead. It's like that doesn't mean you can steal it now. That doesn't mean it's your material.
Right.
You ask.
It's anybody's
Yeah.
now, right?
About 30 years ago, when Steve Martin was just getting started, I used to do Steve Martin, not on stage or anything, just in front of my friends. People go, enough.
That's
It's
what's
different.
funny. When
Yeah.
I was in the second grade, my mom has pictures of it. When I was in the second grade for the talent show, I did Steve Martin.
Did you?
I had the white suit, the balloons, the hair in the head, and that was the first time I did comedy ever in second grade. And I didn't do stand up again until I was in my 30s.
Yeah, everybody used to. My nickname was Steve Martin.
No, when I was in high school, I used to. I would do the talent shows in high school, and all I would do is I would do Saturday Night Live skits.
Yeah.
Right, so man,
But but that's
But-
different. That's
but
high
you
school.
just-
I
you know?
literally impersonated him. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
did his bits.
When
did
I
the
first
thing.
did impressions, I was really doing impressions of other people doing impressions. Like I did Dana Carvey's.
Oh, you're a church lady
yeah.
or whatever.
Church lady.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I remember I did his George Bush back then. I didn't do George Bush. I did Dana Carvey's George Bush. You know?
I think that's one of the funniest things I saw on TV when Dana Carvey was with Bush.
Oh yeah.
That was absolute. Did you see that? It was
Yeah,
hilarious.
he'll always be one of my favorite cast members of
Yeah.
the show. And the thing about him is his impressions weren't even dead on, but it was the way he exaggerated them, and he made it
just
so
amazing.
funny.
But
Yeah.
Bush thought he was pretty funny. I remember seeing that.
And that's, by the way, that's the difference between Bush and like previous presidents, and Trump has no sense of humor. Trump has no sense of humor when it comes to people imitating him. You would never see him go on TV and be on SNL with Alec Baldwin. No, he hates Alec Baldwin
Oh,
for doing
God.
that.
Yeah.
Wants to sue him for doing
Really?
that.
That's
Such
funny.
a sore loser. God.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry.
audience. We just lost the South. Okay.
You just lost it.
Again,
Again.
Good one.
Dang it.
All right.
man.
I'm very
It's hard
sorry.
to keep them
very
in line.
sorry. You're beautiful people. Beautiful people. Lovely people.
My
I love
friend
you.
Rob does a great Trump.
Oh,
I do them okay.
That's good.
You know why?
Is
Actually,
Rich Little still here?
what'd you say?
Rich.
Isn't Rich Little still
I
here?
think he is. Yeah.
Is he here in Vegas?
Yeah,
Is
but I'm
I think
saying-
he is.
Laugh Factory.
Is he
Yeah,
at the
as
Laugh
I say,
Factory?
you still see him pop up every now and then.
Does he have like a regular show?
Yeah.
Well, not now, but you know, I'm like.
Right. He
No,
did.
now. No, now. They're
Really?
open now.
Oh, they are open.
Yeah, they reopened in Eastern
Wow.
Valley.
So I know that's reopened, and LA Comedy Club I think is reopened, right?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a little.
I don't know.
I'm too scared. I don't want to do. I'm not ready.
They're doing a
yet.
show
Yeah.
at Notoriety on Saturdays. No.
Notoriety.
Yeah, on Fremont Street.
Time out. How are we doing on time?
7 minutes.
To go?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So things are slowly coming back around, but like
We need a vaccine for things.
on the other side of it, the spikes aren't going away either. So it's
Yeah.
like California just shut it down again.
But I think, I know, I think.
So it's like shut down, open, shut down, open. It's like you
think
can't
we'll-
get too excited. Like
Well, I think we're reacted to the wrong thing. We need to look at the mortality rate.
It's one step.
Mortality rate is going down. So if you get it and you survive it, if there's a high probability you're gonna survive it, I mean, it's not good to get sick, but we need to concentrate, I think, that's my own personal opinion, is we need to focus more on the mortality rate. How many people is it killing?
I agree with that, but then if you really look at it, it seems like on a personal level, it seems like it affects each person differently.
Yep.
So it's like a gamble. You're rolling the
Yeah.
dice. You
But
go,
still-
do I want? Yeah, I could get it, and I'll be fine.
You know,
and it'll be,
I-
and I
I-
get
I
sick
will
for a
say-
minute and get better. But some of these people
Yeah.
get real sick. Some of them have complications that aren't going away, and some people die.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't know what's gonna happen.
But
to
I
you.
think in general, the curve for the people that are dying is going down.
Sure.
Even though the other stuff is spiking.
It depends. It depends. I mean, well, here's one thing I'll say is I've looked up some of the figures of Vegas because I mean, Vegas is unlike most places with it. For some reason, the recovery rate here is really, really high. Where you look at the actual amount of cases that are listed for Clark County, and look at the amount of recoveries, and 90% of the people who have had it have actually recovered. So it might say, I think it was something last time it was like 100,000 people in Clark County have had it, but if 90% of those people have recovered, only 10,000 people actually have it in Clark County. They don't tell you that, but you
No.
gotta look, you gotta
You
read
gotta
the
look,
articles
yeah.
about it and see what the actual figures are.
Sure.
Because the recovery rate, the amount of people that have recovered from it in Clark County is actually a lot. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm
There's several
wondering,
people
I'm
in my work
wondering
that
why.
had it.
What is it about this
They're
place
bad.
in
They
particular?
didn't die.
I don't know.
Why the recovery rate is so high here compared to other? Because I mean, there are other places
I don't know,
people
why-
are
that's
dropping
an
like
interesting,
flies.
that's an interesting thing.
Is it the dry air?
Dry air?
I don't know. Is that good for a
Maybe-
virus?
Maybe that because we have people from all over the world, we're getting herd immunity.
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean-
because I mean,
It's more
they,
of a hardy
I
immune
mean, we
system.
did have a.
I
we did
didn't
have
say
a.
horny immunity.
I mean, we did have a mask law pretty quick here, so
Yeah.
that's the
I'm
thing.
just
So I don't know
saying.
about herd immunity.
Just
It's
skeezy
funny.
town.
It's funny that mask law though. Like you go into a casinos and people, had the things hanging down on their face,
Yeah.
like their noses hanging out, like, and you're not in a casino. I guarantee you got some drunk guy at a table and he's losing a bunch of money and his mask is down. Do you think anyone's gonna tell him to put it up? No, they're not. They're gonna be like, oh, he's losing money. Just let him
Yeah.
lose money.
Yeah.
And they're not telling him to put his mask back on.
We're
You know
winning,
they're
if
not.
he's losing, we're
Yeah,
winning. Yeah.
exactly.
Well, that's the
exactly.
problem in general.
Yeah.
What any of this has taught us is that this system that we have built here in America has no fail-safe whatsoever. And if the money doesn't flow, it's going to fall apart pretty quickly. That's the problem that we really have, I think, is like, we don't know how to do it any different.
No.
So what are we going to do? Well, you can't shut down everything and tell people that they can't
That's not.
have
gonna work.
money to live, or whatever.
That's not gonna work.
So that's the catch-22 that we're in right now.
Yep.
and-
Well, I think, so when we get through this one, we'll have, in case it happens again, we'll have kind of maybe a blueprint for getting us, if
would
it happens
hope.
again. Time out for a second. Time out. Egotistically, I wanna do that voice thing.
Oh, which
Before-
one?
The voiceover voice you were telling me about.
Oh yeah, talk about
Okay,
that.
so-
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're back on.
We'll talk about that. I don't know how you want to work into that, but yeah.
Okay, so we're back on. So, so hopefully we're gonna get past this thing. If it happens again, I think we'll have some idea of how to get us through it, that kind of a thing,
I
right?
would hope.
Yeah. So, anything else you guys, how could we find you guys on social media?
I am on Facebook.
And
I have a page called The Twisted Mind of Bruce Leonard, and I have a regular Bruce Leonard profile.
Okay.
On there, I just
I think
just my regular.
our crack editing team will have a little roller
right.
scrolling
And
across.
on Instagram, Bruce Leonard Comedy,
Okay,
and on Twitter, Bruce Leonard 21.
Bruce Leonard 21.
Yeah, Facebook, you can find me. It's Facebook, not Cal Verducci, just C Verducci. Just, my first, C Verducci. And then if you want clips on my YouTube, my page is just Cal Verducci. Instagram, I'm not really on Instagram. My cat is, but I'm not. That is true. That is totally true. I'm not on Instagram, but there is an Instagram
hilarious.
page for Jamie Lee Curtis. That is the thing.
Is that your cat's name?
Instagram
That is my
is
cat's
funny.
name, yes.
It's just a bunch of women bent over and like, this is about fitness.
Oh, dude, like I realized very quickly. That Instagram, through Instagram, my cat is way more popular than I will ever be in my entire
Yes.
life.
Cats and dogs and half-naked
Oh yeah,
women.
that's why I realized that because I had put a bunch of stuff because for some reason my cat is very popular on Facebook too, and I just made an Instagram page for her too. Yeah,
That's funny, right?
I think it's the name maybe, I don't know, but and also it's a brown cat, and brown cats are very rare, and people go crazy for that when they see it for some reason. Yeah.
Okay. So, anything else we want to, before we have to end this thing, that we need
No,
to?
I'm also, I forgot to mention, I am also on YouTube.
On YouTube.
Bruce Leonard. And I said I do a podcast every week, Tuesday nights at 9 Pacific. It's
And what's it called?
Caption This with Bruce Leonard and Rob Bossoleri.
Oh, how cool. So tune in.
That's
Again-
on YouTube as well and Facebook Live.
Again, our crack editing team will put a scroller across the bottom. They're pretty amazing. So one of the sad things that I have to do every week is I have to bring our podcast to an end because we're running out of time. So I want to thank both of you guys for being here, Cal Verducci, Bruce Leonard. I want to thank our audience for hanging in there with us. This is episode number 41. I can't believe some of our behind the camera folks have been with us since number 1. And so it's been kind of a fun ride so far, and it's all because of the viewers. So we appreciate your viewership, and we hope that you continue watching. Tell your friends, send us some feedback, what you'd like to see. If there's anybody you'd like us to interview, let us know. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight. This is Dillon Dilligaff saying until we see you next time. Good night.